Now it's your chance.
What is going down, guys? Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity here, back with another video. It's been a little while since I filmed the video, I must admit. The season is finished, it's all quieting down a little bit now, but the transfer window is looming upon us. We've got the World Cup coming up, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm a complete fair weather international football fan, and that means I will be well up for the World Cup, but I wasn't too interested in the qualifiers and stuff like that. It's been an interesting few weeks for Ipswich Town, hasn't it? And as you've seen by the title of this video, is this the season that Ipswich Town finish above Norwich City? And this isn't a video of, you know, the common banter that gets thrown around between the East Anglian football clubs. This is a genuine chat. Ipswich Town have just appointed Paul Hurst as their new manager, the man who took Shrewsbury to the playoffs and so nearly took them into the Championship. This is the man that, of course, managed Ben Godfrey and Carlton Morris last season, two players that Norwich City rate very highly and two players that rated Paul Hurst very highly indeed. Now, they sacked Mick McCarthy. I quite liked Mick McCarthy. I think he'd done a very good job there on a shoestring budget. Admittedly, the football that he played, I can understand, didn't sit too well with Ipswich Town fans, and that was why the attendance has dwindled, and that was why they were, well, they are where they are in the table, and I guess that's where we are in the table, because some of the football we played was okay, but on the whole, it was dull, and it wasn't very progressive. They then went for Jack Scott, who'd done fantastic work at St Mirren. Jack Scott saw probably a bigger pay packet at Sunderland and arguably a bigger project. They listened to a fantastic podcast with the new Sunderland owners. They were almost boasting about that they'll have the biggest budget League One has ever seen. And arguably, Jack Scott thought Sunderland was the bigger project, so went there. So then that threw Ipswich back into you know, the works, and they were thinking, well, who are we going to get? Paul Hurst comes up. You know, the name comes up. Marcus Evans said he'd gone on a very wide and extensive search, but Paul Hurst was always the top name, and I guess it was all laying on that final at Shrewsbury and Rotherham. Who was going to win that? If Shrewsbury would have won, then it would have taken Shrewsbury into the Championship, and arguably Paul Hurst would have stayed. However, they lost. They would have stayed in League One, and this is a step up for Paul Hurst. Now, I think this is a fantastic appointment for Ipswich Town, I must admit. Paul Hurst has gone all the way from Ilkeston through to Grimsby, through to Shrewsbury, now into Ipswich. He's rated very highly amongst managers, and this is a bit different to what Ipswich are used to, you know. It's a big switch up from Mick McCarthy. Admittedly, the football he plays is similar, but he's a progressive manager, he's a young manager, he's a man who's come through the ranks. This isn't, you know, your same old experienced names that are clogging up the leagues at the moment. You see it in the Premier League, you see it in the Championship. You've only got to look at QPR, who've sacked Holloway. Yes, admittedly an experienced manager, but loved by QPR fans. And they've gone with Steve McClaren, who, well, it's Steve McClaren, isn't it? Norwich City, on the other hand, we've gone very progressive as well. Daniel Farke, lots of German players, but it didn't really work to the extent that we thought it might last season. Ipswich finished above us, admittedly only on goal difference, but I think that was probably fair. Both teams were very average and very similar throughout the whole season. So it leaves the question, well, who's going to have the better season next year? And I think it all depends on this transfer window. Will Marcus Evans at Ipswich put some money in? I'm not so sure. He might see this as a fresh new project and something to really get behind more than McCarthy, rather than simply turning over a profit. Or is this the season where Norwich City get it right? Will we nail the transfers? Will we be able to keep James Maddison? I don't know. Will we be able to deal with the losses of maybe Harrison Reed and Angus Gunn? It is a massive summer for both clubs, but I genuinely think that Norwich have to be on their toes. We can't be, you know, boastful, and we certainly can't take this league lightly now. Ipswich Town are certainly chasing our tails, and yes, of course, it doesn't really matter about Ipswich, but Norwich City fans, including myself, have rejoiced in the fact that we've been far superior to Ipswich over probably the past decade. I think this is the closest the two teams have ever been, and hopefully that's a kick up the arse to Norwich City, that's a kick up the arse for Stuart Webber, and that's a kick up the arse for Daniel Farke. We have to get it right next season. If not, Norwich City could be in the position that Ipswich Town have been over the past 16 seasons, simply consolidating in the Championship, and that's not what we want. We need to sign a striker. We need to up the tempo in which we play football. We need to score more goals. We need to be more ruthless with teams at home. If we don't do them, then Ipswich Town will finish above us next season. No questions asked. Fascinating summer for both clubs. Ipswich fans, let me know your thoughts. Norwich City fans, let me know your thoughts. What do Norwich have to do in order to finish above Ipswich? What do Ipswich have to do in order to finish above Norwich? Thank you very much for watching. As always, a massive thank you to FansBet who continue their fantastic support of these videos. I will see you very soon. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.